Hi, friends. Welcome to this special episode, which is the first episode of a feature podcast. Yes, you heard that right. Feature podcast. I sit down with my friend Ian MacLeod, whom you may have seen make a few cameos on my YouTube channel, and we just chit-chat about running and about life and a few other subjects as well. So if you enjoy this episode, let us know so that we can get working on future episodes and also adding a video element as well. So stay tuned for that. But for now, enjoy episode 1. So we're recording right now.
Okay, recording story. Well, context-wise, we're in California, United States, and today is the 23rd of January. Yeah?
Is it really?
I think so. Kaya? Yes. 23rd, yeah.
23rd.
Lots of change in the world. Today's our first recording because Jenn Razan came down from Glendale to San Juan Capistrano, and now we're officially in the podcast business.
Mm-hmm.
We recorded one episode a year ago, I think, but now we're set up in the studio and we're ready to rock. So you can interview me. I could start from when I was born, or I could tell you about my parents who created me and how I was born. But that could be graphic. So maybe we go back to.
I don't know if we'll go back that far.
Okay, let's start when I come out of the womb. Do you want to talk about running?
Sure.
Or do you want to talk about cancer? Or do you want to talk about how you like running for cancer? What do you want to talk about?
Isn't that a little bit of both?
I mean, most people think it's not interchangeable, but I think it is. I mean, one of my favorite authors is Haruki Murakami. He's a prolific Japanese writer, and I know lots of stories about him. But he wrote a book called What I Learned Through Running, and it's one of my favorite books. There's so much wisdom about running.
I think I read that like a few years ago.
I think you should read it again. Read it again.
I probably should.
You should, because what are you doing this March 2024? What are you doing?
I am running the LA Marathon for the third time.
Third time.
Yay.
Since you take 26.
Sounds very enthusiastic.
Well, it's enthusiastic until you get to mile 2021 and you're running in Santa Monica Boulevard and you smell the fries from McDonald's, but your body's broken.
But this time, I think the route this time around, like, they turn back to Avenue of the Stars.
And then they take you back to Dodger Stadium?
Yeah. You cross the finish line at Avenue of the Stars.
Oh. So you don't go to Santa Monica?
No. The last year I did the marathon. That's when last time they crossed.
Oh, okay.
To the bridge.
That's a huge update for our audience of zero. But important. Kaya's our number one fan because she's the only one that's listening.
Woo! Yeah.
Thank you, Kaya. Very supportive.
Our first and number one fan.
Yeah. Now, when it comes to running, you've done 3 marathons. So I want to do the math. 26 times 3 is 68? No, 78 miles.
Yeah, but do you want to count also like all the training miles that we have to do?
No, I'm just talking about these 3 full marathons. So you're about to embark on, you basically have done, you've done 52.2 miles.
Pretty much.
Yeah. So are you masochistic? It's hard to run that far.
I don't think I would say I'm masochistic. I don't know. I just need the challenge every once in a while.
Imagine she was like, yes, I lay pain.
It's like we're all glutton for punishment somehow.
Yeah, it's true. What age did you start running? Because let's get a little bit of your background. You grew up in Los Angeles adjacent, yeah? Mm-hmm. And for a long time you didn't run. you were kind of like, hey, I look at myself, my body, like who I am, and like most of us, especially if we're Filipino, we just kind of, I eat my emotions. Is that right, Kaya? She laughs. Yeah.
She's like, yeah, Dad. Yes.
I do eat my emotions. When I'm happy, I eat. When I'm sad, I eat.
Well, for me, I just eat all the time.
Exactly.
It's like food.
That's kind of why you run, right?
Yeah.
That's why you run.
That's why I run.
Genius.
Well, the funny thing is, I used to hate running. I used to hate it. Like,
Kaya, basically, she's in 9th grade, but she's found many ways to essentially get out of PE. She joined a drum corps, and she has not done it yet. Oh yeah, and then she essentially intentionally broke her foot so she could miss the first half of PE in her freshman year. How much do you love running, Kaya? 0. So you were 0 about running too. Why didn't you like running at that age?
well, that was like 10 years ago. I don't know. It's one of those things where I was like, I had that mentality where like I wasn't as fast as a lot of the other people out there. Especially when you're young, you kind of have this idea in your head that you have to be like better.
Number one.
Right. But then on a whim, probably, I want to see maybe around 2018, I just started running.
I was running.
I pulled a Forrest Gump and just started running.
There it is. See, she picked it up. You could tell we're filmmakers. I say, I was running. She goes, I just went Forrest Gump on it. I was like, yep.
And then I haven't stopped since. And then the most random thing was I just like, whatever, I'm just going to sign up for the marathon. On a whim, too. And I wasn't like seasoned or anything like that.
When you start running, when you made that commitment in 2018, how hard was it? Because it's hard when you first start running. There's just so much pain because your body's just like, what are we doing, right?
Yeah, it was tough. Because my first official race ever was doing the Santa Monica 10K that year. And I remember finishing it, and I was like, God, this is so hard.
It's so hard.
And then I realized, I'm like, oh my gosh, I have a half marathon and a marathon coming up too. Because I signed up for like the challenge that they had. So you had to do the 10K, the half marathon, and the marathon to get like a special medal. I think that's one of the things that enticed me too. Is like, oh, I get a medal?
I'm not going to lie. I have all my medals, and they're pretty special. Yeah, there's something about the medals that you like. Because I remember the first time I was working a TV network, and there was a guy, I was in his office, and he had a medal of the LA Marathon from 2010. And he was like, I'm not a runner. And he was like, if you could do it, if I could do it, you could do it. And I think that kind of made me go like, yeah, you don't look like a runner. I'm a runner. I could do that. But once you get into it, how long before when you started running did you were like, I'm addicted to running?
After my first race.
Yeah. And your first one was a 10K?
Yeah.
Yeah, mine was a half marathon. We signed up. That's actually how Kai was born. I think Shannon and I signed up for the Big Sur Marathon. We ran the marathon, and then they gave us, instead of a medal, they gave us a baby. You know? That's where babies come from, by the way. They come from marathon running. Go,
congratulations.
That's your baby. I was like, yes. So I must have ran a good race. She's a good kid.
Yeah.
And then what are the things that become like, at first you find yourself complaining about running? It's like, it's so hard. I can't breathe. My legs hurt.
For me, it's like just waking up in the morning.
Brutal.
Getting up early. Like, oh, it's cold out. Especially now since we have cold weather. I'm like, weather app.
But you're consistent. I see you every day running.
I force myself to do it because
shine.
here's my thing. I always give myself an incentive. Like if it's like, okay, if I go out and run today, I could have like a cookie,
A croissant,
or a croissant, or like I could treat myself to like a coffee.
Yes.
And not make it at home.
Yes.
So it's one of those things I trick myself to do.
It's true. It's a good thing. Incentivize is a good thing. I guess my thing speaking with you is I realized what I was addicted to when I started running was how much the freedom is so important. This idea that we are just so, especially in California, maybe America, California, is like we were constantly in our cars.
Yeah.
And so this idea that, I just knew if I strapped on my shoes while everyone's sleeping and I put on my music and I put on my thing and I just run out the door, I'm like, this day is mine.
Mm-hmm.
I'm free. I can do whatever I want, you know?
Yeah.
And if you run anywhere between, 3 to 5, 7 miles in the morning, you kind of feel invincible for the rest of the day. Is that true?
Pretty much.
Do you?
Yeah. It was like, this is how it feels.
What is that feeling? It's probably the endorphins.
Of course. I mean, it's usually because of that. You kind of feel like you don't want to start, but then when you do, you feel so much better after it.
Yeah. What's cool is you could start running is starting just walking. Obviously, I learned the hard way when I was a runner. I never walked because it was also, I found it as a weakness, but walking and running are, they're yin yang, no?
I love walking. I've always been a walker, no matter what. Even every day I try to walk at least 30 minutes just to, especially when we have jobs that kind of keep us somewhat sedentary.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to move.
Have to move, all of us. Kai, you like walking? You don't hate it? I walk every day. You walk every day?
Class to class.
Cool. School's so big. Would you mind walking the dog right now? She said that's funny. I don't like walking that much, Dad. I don't even want the dog. For losers. Dad's dog walker. Running. Go ahead.
So you're going to run that 5K with me, though?
I mean, I think it's a little too early to make that commitment on the radio, no? On the podcasting.
I mean, this is
called the podcast, the radio. Here we are. One thing that I always felt is really important to running is music. Tell me the importance of music for you. I found myself mostly building playlists where I could really tempo and pace is the most important thing about racing, at least running. His idea is I get to set the pace and the tone, like the speed and how much I go.
Oh yeah, I have a couple playlists.
You do?
I do, and then for shorter runs, I listen to music, for sure. But if it's like for the long runs, I usually put like a podcast or an audiobook on.
Yeah.
Because as much as I like the tempo of music, I usually put the music on for like maybe the last mile just to help me get home. But during the run, I'm more concentrated on the story of what's being said in the podcast. So it keeps my mind occupied from feeling like, oh my God, I'm dying on the
I think you're right, because once you get above 10 miles, music doesn't really do anything. It's like I feel numb. If you're listening 10 hours straight.
Yeah.
Or hours straight. How about for you? Is it too meta if we produce this podcast and then you listen to it while you run? Is that too meta or
hearing myself on the run?
Yeah.
I don't know about that. It's taken me this long just to get used to being in front of the camera. So
yeah, you're pretty good though. I think you're good. Don't worry about it.
What are you listening to on your run? Well, my podcast, of course.
You should check it out.
It's number one in my head.
Salmon Capo, we have the number one podcast amongst 45 to 55-year-old runners. We have a huge demo. And we have a podcast. Our podcast is number one amongst teenagers 15 to 16 who hate running. They like the podcast too. Say yes or no. Ready? Do you have Eminem's "Lose Yourself" on any of your playlists?
I don't, but I'm gonna add it now that you said that. I have Rob Zombie though.
That's my Napoleon Dynamite.
Mine's like a weird mix though. It's like a mix of metal, Europop, pop, a bunch of Taylor Swift. Wow,
I didn't know first that you were into. I knew you were into Swifties because this guy's a Swiftie. For Swizzle, what's a T-Swizzle?
T-Swizzle. I have
That's crazy.
Bracelet.
Do you?
I do.
But the metal part, I'm really shocked. Like, I didn't know that was part of your...
I listened to a lot of metal in high school.
Really?
Yeah. Although I never like really dressed the part. I just listened to it and no one really knew.
So if you're like, let's go for a run. Yeah. That's metal.
I have Metallica. I also have some Megadeth in there.
Okay, that's metal. All right. Distance. So 5Ks are fun because that's essentially like 3 miles, right?
Pretty much.
And we're so jacked in America. We're like, hey, feet and yards and miles. It's like, can we go back to the metric system?
It took me a while for the conversion of it. I was like, but now I'm kind of used to it, so.
Yeah. It's technically 5K is
3 miles.
3 miles. 10K is
6.2.
Okay, 6.2.
Yeah.
Oh, I've been rounding up. I should round down. I'm like, yeah, I do 10Ks, like 7 miles. It's not true. It's like 6.2. Okay. And then half marathon, I realized like,
I think it's 42K. I gotta double check on that, but it's like around that.
and the full marathon, so half is 13.1, 13.1. The full is 26.2.
Actually, let me look at that. Let me look that up. It's gonna bother me.
This is because people will be like, dude, we listen to the podcast. You're totally wrong.
Oh no, it's 21K. 42 would be a marathon around there.
20K. All I'm saying is that 13.1 is, I think, the perfect distance. Do you think? Because I've done the 26, and I felt like my body was broken at 21. I was just like, now it's all mental. I'm just gonna run. My body's busted. But I think the half marathon, I always feel like I end with a little bit of grace, a little bit of what do you think?
Yeah, I mean it's not as intense as doing a full marathon.
I mean, half is still a lot, though, sister. It's
True.
13.
I mean, I had a friend that did the half marathon this past Saturday for Rose Bowl. He was like, "I'm dying." I was like, "Well, did you train?" I was like, "No."
Yeah, I
like,
got trained. Let's talk about the importance of training.
It's very important, I think.
It's huge.
I mean, I've known people to do it blind, but it's like you're gonna be in so much pain afterwards.
I know. I have a cousin. I won't mention their name. But he's a guy who just shows up and he's like, "Oh, you guys are running it?" And he'll just run a full marathon in PR. Like, gosh, I hate you.
Oh my gosh.
Because I'm a guy. It's like I have a chart, right? It's like 1 mile to 5, and then 5 to 10, 10 on. Like, I mean, how long when you do a full marathon? How long do you train for?
Usually mine's for 18 weeks. So it's about 4.5 months. 4.5 months, 5, depending.
You want to train Kaya for 18 weeks?
That's
Just
a
gave me
hard
the deer in
question.
headlights look like.
It's like, not for me.
I won't give you 18 days, Dad. Yeah, training's tough, though, because I think in the full marathon, I get up to 20 miles, and then I started tapering down, meaning starting to cut the miles. But it was tough. I remember going, I did most of my training at Griffith Park. I'm not sure, where do you train mostly for the long runs?
Through Glendale and Burbank. Like, where...
Street?
Yeah, street. So, where Glendale... that in the hills up there?
Yeah.
I run up there.
Gangster.
Takes me all the way to Burbank and back.
She goes full street. I like that.
And luckily, my route is like rolling hills. So it's kind of similar to what the route is on the actual marathon. So it helps me get used to that.
Yep. I prefer real running to treadmill. I think treadmills are kind of fake because you're running flat. It's good if you want to get the mileage in, but I think inclines are this, that's where the business is. That's where the growth is, right? But I remember getting out, like Griffith Park was where I go. So like when Kai was like a baby, I like took her in a running stroller and run over Pasadena. So we run down around the Rose Bowl, and she had a BB with like a pacifier in her mouth, and she just have her eyes like this all the time. It's like, wow, look at the world. And then on the weekends, I did the training where you're between 12 and 17 miles. That's where I go to Griffith and start at like 6 a.m. travel town trains, and then run all the way down to the petting zoo.
Oh, yeah.
And then keep going to like around the Best Buy in Glendale. I come back. It's crazy. How important do shoes become? Important, right?
Very important. You got to make sure you're properly fitted. The first time I got running shoes, I had the wrong size, and my toes were like wrecked.
Red toes, hammer time, they call it. It's funny, like when I started running, it's like that thing though. It's almost like Frozen, the movie, but like it's Coronation Day. It's like Pronation Day. It's really important. If you run, get the real shoes because, wow, if your feet pronate, you're in big trouble.
Oh, I pronate a lot. It's ridiculous.
Me too.
So I need like the support shoes and all that.
We're pronators.
Yeah.
That'd be a cool running team if we had a running team. Hey, what are you guys doing? Oh, we're the pronators. It's been really fun speaking with you. Let's talk about the last act of this podcast, which is some people know my story. I mean, who knows what our audience is here, but Jenn was on, who we've been speaking to. I'm me and MacLeod. We've been friends and collaborating in film for 20 years, right? We had that aha moment. We went to Art Center 2004 through were you 2003 to 6 or 4 through 7 or
2 through 5.
2000 through 2005?
Yeah. I went straight through. I didn't take any breaks like some people.
Me either. Well, I think I took one term off to go to New York to make a documentary, but I think so we met then. We always share a passion for filmmaking, storytelling. We're still collaborating 20 years later. Bravo. Bravo. Congratulations. But I've known you a long time. And so in 2013, I was diagnosed with leukemia, even though I was running, even the day I was diagnosed, I ran 5 miles that day. And I remember I lost 9 pounds after running the half marathon for Huntington Beach in 2013, January. And then I lost 9 pounds, and I thought, oh, man, this running is working.
Yeah.
I'm looking really good. I trimmed some weight, and I realized it was because I was sick, really sick. And so I went in the hospital. I wanted to tell the story. And it was really hard. All of a sudden, I had neuropathy in my feet, so I couldn't run anymore. And they told me, like, hey, don't worry about it. I was like, I can't feel my toes. Like, don't worry about it. It's chemo. Don't worry. It'll come back. Never came back, so I stopped running. And then I always had this encouraging thing. I talk about it a lot with Jenn because she's my great blessing. She sent me this get well card at City of Hope in Duarte, where I did treatment. And inside I had a coin of St. Peregrine, who is the patron saint of cancer. And I held that coin like, so nice. And it became a relic or a coin of survivalship and healing. And then Jenn started running marathons. And I remember when she started running, I was like, dude, I can't run anymore. But you were just always gung-ho. And one of the first marathons she did was running on behalf of honoring me, but also honoring the hospital of City of Hope where I did treatment.
Yep.
And I thought it was just so beautiful. And so here it is. That was, you supported me in my treatment during 2013. You started running in 2018. I think you did one of your first 2 marathons there for City of Hope. And now it's 2024. You're running the LA Marathon in March of this year. And you're running for City of Hope. And that just gives me chills. But it's fantastic because, you're raising money for City of Hope. And for me personally, I'm just so honored because you're running for me, but you're running for so many patients. And what is it really? You could choose any organization, but what is your connection to City of Hope? You could share, but why do you? What is the theme behind you running? What are you really trying to say for the world or other patients?
It's funny. When I chose City of Hope the first time around, I knew I wanted to run it for charity, but I had no idea what charity I wanted to choose. And somehow you popped up in my head and kind of, I recalled those struggles that you were going through. I know which one I'm going to choose. And knowing that you were a marathon running, I was like, I felt really sad that you couldn't run anymore. So that's one of the reasons why I decided to do it in the first place. So like we had that connection, even though we weren't really in communication as much back then because we had separate lives. I kind of chose that and kind of motivated me to go, I'm going to run for those who can't run. Because life gets in the way and it cuts out a lot of the motivations that you wanted to do. And this is one of those things where it's like, I'm running for you. I'm running for, the people in the hospital who look out the window and go, I wish I could still do that. And so it's one of those things where it puts into perspective where how lucky I am that I still get to do what I get to do. I still have my 2 legs. Even though I'm sore half the time when I'm training, I still have it. So I'm going to make use of it on behalf of others who aren't able to do it anymore. And here we are for the 3rd time, so I'm doing it again, and I'm happy to do it.
Amen, amen. I love that you're running for those that can't run. It's just such a beautiful sentiment. Running is like to me, it's I don't think it's lonely, because I think it's like, I call it solitude. There's something wonderful about it. But the idea that no one is aware of all the miles you put in. Mm. I'm aware because I've done that. So like when I see you posting like on Instagram, like ran 4 miles, ran 3 miles, like, I read your post, I'm like tired. I can't go that far. But the idea is that it gives hope. It gives hope, but it's like the intention is like, for me, is like with running is like, keep going. It's like life, it's a real analogy for life. Like, keep going, keep going. Yeah, I'm very honored and excited. And I think what's cool is a little historical is I stopped running in 2013, and I had this attitude like it was really hard for me because it was the new. My life after leukemia was very different. I just wasn't the same person, and I had to give up the running, and so I was very sad. I was suffering because I wanted to run. And then when did we do the LA Marathon, the 5K?
2021?
Yeah. You were like, hey, you want to run it? And I'm like, I don't run. But I was like, it's 3 miles, right? The 5K? I'm like, all right, let's do it. And I remember that day because I was wearing a Kobe Bryant shirt.
Yep.
And you met me right there at Dodger Stadium. And we did the 5K. When I was running, I kept thinking, this is wonderful, but there's no harm in walking. And then I had this epiphany of like, dude, you may not be able to run, but you certainly can walk because you have 2 legs, you have 2 feet, and you have a heart and you have passion. And so the one that got me on the path of like walk or run, there's always room, was you. You did that for me.
Well, thank you.
That was huge.
The thing is, it's okay to walk.
It was necessary. I mean, that's who we are. And then we have to walk through life, right? Mm. We're all walking each other home, as Baba Ram Das says. So I thought it was really nice. And then in 2022, we ran the
Rose Bowl 5K.
Yeah, I ran the Rose Bowl 5K. So this lady has got me into a lot of harrowing situations to run.
Well, there could be another one coming up.
You want me to do it?
Yeah. Come on. Just like old times.
I'll do whatever I want. Gosh. What if I just do a bunch of Napoleon impersonations on this podcast? Freaking idiot. 3 miles? My lips hurt real bad. Is it running podcast with Napoleon Dynamite?
Yeah.
I don't have any skills. I'm like serious pronating right now. How much are you raising for City Hope right now?
Total, I would like to raise up to $2,000.
Okay.
We are currently at $1,105. It's an odd number to go with 105, but yeah, 1,105.
Did someone donate 105?
It was 25.
Okay. All right.
So it's
I'll call them up and be like, dude, you're right in the middle, man. Make a decision.
So luckily, each week we've had at least $100 donated. So hopefully that trend keeps on going. That's my ultimate goal.
And when does the race? March
17th.
St. Patty's?
Yeah, I gotta find something green.
You gotta wear all green.
Yeah.
Kaya, should we go and hand out some pretzels or pizza for her on the path?
Do it. I could use it. It's gonna be like.
It's super true though. Like I was like, when you become a psychopath runner where you run over 10 miles, you basically run around with jelly beans or goo in your pockets, and you're like, every 12 miles, like, I love that jelly bean.
And then after a while, like, again. Past the halfway mark, like, I can't take it anymore.
Is there any difference?
I do remember, like, when I did the Long Beach Half Marathon, I took a couple donuts. Those were awesome. I was like, yes.
But you think, why would you do that? But see, at the end of the race, like around mile 13, when people say eat a pretzel or a pizza on the side of the road, you're like, can't, because you're burning, right? Calories. Oh my gosh. Okay, we'll bring you something on the road.
Woo!
When's the 5K?
The 5K is the day before.
Okay, so you're doing the 5K?
5K and the marathon.
Wait, you're going to run a 5K and then the full?
Uh-huh.
Okay, loco. You're a crazy person.
Thanks.
Thank you for your time. I think that if people hear this, don't be lazy. Don't be cheap. Like, give $25 or $105 to Jenn so she can run for City of Hope. And if I were to say, City of Hope is a comprehensive healthcare hospital for all people all over the world, where they can, that have life-threatening diseases, types of cancer. That money goes towards research. I've been fortunate enough to see personally people that had HIV and they got a transplant. Their DNA rejected HIV cells. They survived leukemia and HIV. And that was only because of City of Hope. And the same with diabetes, which is really connected to running, right? This idea that the opposite is, diabetes type 1, type 2 was was really insulin today is because of Arthur Riggs and the research they've done at City of Hope.
Exactly.
And so I would just like to personally say, like, thank you for running for us that can't run.
No, thank you, because you guys, you went through the hardest part, through all the treatments and everything else. So we're just here just to help in some little way or other.
Yeah, but you're my hero. One of my heroes.
Oh,
MacLeod. We hope you enjoyed our podcast recording. Please support City of Hope. Support my good friend Jenn. And let's see what happens. I think I'm gonna run that 5K. And my son Beckett just walked in. Beck, do you want to run the 5K in March?
Maybe. Cool.
Oh, that's more than Gaia gave.
yeah.
3 miles. You can walk it.
3 miles is a lot, but maybe.
What do you think, Ate?
You could do it.
I could do it.
You could do it.
I could. I don't know if I will, but
All right. Well, we hope right here is the music cue part. I hope you join us next week or next month or next episode, and we're going to talk about more random things. But running for those that can't run, Jemrazon, thank you.
Thank you for being an amazing friend all these years, and I'm happy that all of you guys are in my life.
IRL, baby.
Aw.
IRL.
And I guess we call it here.
Yeah, let's call it.
All right.
Ciao.
Ciao.